So before I begin this video, I just want to say that the lighting isn't great. I mean, it keeps changing and it's annoying, see? And I also want to point out that I do look like I've just come back from school. Lighting's changing again. So I wanted to talk about my favourite films today because I love films. I feel like anyone that knows me knows that I love films. Majority of these, well, I mean, all of them really, are based along the kind of romance movie theme. So I spent so long trying to figure out what my top 10 favourite films were, and it was so difficult because I love so many films. I feel like I could honestly do a top 100. I wanted to firstly narrow it down to 3 because I feel like everyone has their top 3 favourite films, and for some reason that's easier than doing a top 10. My number 1 favourite film in the world has to be Dirty Dancing. This is the type of film that in the past I have had friends come round and I've been like, have you seen Dirty Dancing? And if they're like, no, I'm like, right, let's put it on, and then the majority of them absolutely love it. So this is kind of like an older film, but honestly, if you haven't seen it, please, please, please watch it because it's just one of those feel-good films and it's just amazing. So this film is about a girl called Baby who is kind of like a daddy's girl, and they go on a kind of little family holiday to a resort. Baby meets this man called Johnny, who's like a dance instructor. Johnny isn't too keen on her at first, and he is known to be kind of like, I don't know how to put it, but kind of like a woman's man. You kind of just see their relationship progress, and there are obviously a few bumps in the road, but the ending is just amazing. If you, like, honestly, I love it. And the dancing's amazing, and there's like lessons learned, so like lessons about dancing and then lessons about love as well. The soundtrack's amazing. Even now, I'll literally just stick on the Dirty Dancing soundtrack and I'll listen to it because I love it that much. I will say, the remake of Dirty Dancing, what is that? I think for one, Dirty Dancing's not an old enough film to be remade. I don't know if that's kind of... I just don't think, even though it has been out for a long, long time, I feel like it needs to be older to have a remake, and even then it doesn't really need one. It was, you know, there's no topping the first one ever. Like the actors and everything, there's just, they can't be topped. So I don't quite know why they've done that. I will admit that I do like the soundtrack of the new remake, especially the cover of Hungry Eyes. I think, you know, brought a tear to my eye first to listen to it. Yeah, I don't really understand why they remade that film. I mean, obviously musicals are fine, like creating a musical of it, but just a remake, I don't think it was really necessary. So my next favourite film is Ghost. Again, Patrick Swayze's in this, like in Dirty Dancing. This film, if you want a good cry, I recommend this film because it just pulls at your heartstrings. It's just incredible, and the story behind it is just so lovely and so beautiful. So this film is about a young couple who are completely and utterly in love, and they move into their new apartment with each other and they plan on spending the rest of their life with each other. And unfortunately, Sam, played by Patrick Swayze, gets taken away too soon by a man who wants to steal Sam's wallet, and he gets killed. And you kind of see the transition of Sam becoming a ghost. He's got the option to either go into the light or to stay, and he stays. And throughout the film, there are things that are unfolded, there's major plot twists, and it is just the most amazing film. You see Sam looking out for Molly, his girlfriend. I do feel like this film may be pushed to the side because of the name. I mean, the name Ghost, that's usually quite a scary term. I was a bit hesitant at first because I was like, what? That's gonna be scary, but it's not scary. It's quite intense, but the story is just incredible. It does make you kind of more aware to appreciate the people around you. And then the final film out of my top 3 is Grease. Now, there's kind of like a theme of my favourite films. They all are from before I was born, so I feel like Grease is a love or a hate. I feel like some people absolutely love Grease, but then some people just find it so cheesy. You know, everything about Grease is just fun and it's just a feel-good film. And the soundtrack is amazing. I feel like even if you haven't seen Grease, you would have at least heard one song from the Grease soundtrack. I feel like majority of people have seen Grease, but just spinning it briefly. There's a girl called Sandy and a man called Danny who kind of have a summer love, and then they get split away from each other because Sandy has to go to Australia. They don't think they're going to see each other again, but then they end up going to the same school, and it kind of unfolds, and Danny's kind of got this cool image about him. Sandy's a bit like, honestly, if you haven't seen Grease, which I feel like so many people have, please, it's just one of the best films and I love it. So now kind of moving on to the films I don't have on DVD. I think I've got them correct, if not, I'm just gonna have to bring out my top 100 because that's easier. I think that I've found my favourite films based on what I can watch over and over again. I feel like that is when you know it's like one of your favourite films. Number 4 of my top 10 favourite films is Angus Thongs and Perverts Knocking. Now, I love this film so much. It is just, like I said, one of those films you can sit and watch over and over again and not get bored of. I must admit, Robbie was my crush for a long time. Just one of those films that has the kind of things that all young girls talk about and are kind of intrigued by. It's just a really feel-good film, really fun and really bright and colourful, and I really like it. So number 5, one of my favourite films is 13 Going on 30. Now again, if you have not seen this film, please watch it because it's just like a really fun film and one with like a different concept than others. It's about a 13-year-old who kind of wishes her life away, in the sense of she wishes she's 30 and everything isn't how she wanted it to be, and it shows that wishes don't necessarily turn out the way you want them to. And she's not close with the people she once was. She got people in her life that she doesn't really know, and it's just a really good film, and it's funny and the actors are amazing and the ending is just great as well. So it's just one of those films that maybe it's quite unrealistic, but the ending is kind of how you want it to end. So my next, look how much, like I'm sat all the way over here because of the sun. I love Nicholas Sparks books, and he's got so many films that are adaptations of his books. So I have 2 of my favourite films being to do with Nicholas Sparks, The Best of Me. Now this film, again, if you want a little cry, this is like the perfect film for it. So the film is about a couple who meet young, and then the timing's kind of really off and things don't go how they may have thought it would, and there's like problems, and an old man they knew when they were both younger, kind of his passing brought them back together, and it's just a lovely film, and Nicholas Sparks just never fails to amaze me with his like storylines. They're all very similar, but at the same time they're completely different, so there's always like massive plot twists and you're like, what? The ending is really sad but really lovely at the same time. Again, just one of those films that I want to show everyone. Following on from that, I also love The Choice. Like, I love all of the films that have been created by his books. I just wanted to pick a few because I couldn't say all of them were my favourite, even though maybe they are. The other one is The Choice. There's a happy ending, again about 2 adults who live across from each other. At the beginning their relationship's a bit like, it's just a bit like and then throughout the film obviously they get closer. I don't know really, Nicholas Sparks films are quite hard to explain because there's so much to them, but honestly if you haven't seen The Choice, please watch it. You'll be obsessed with it. One of my next favourite films is Bridget Jones's Diary, because it's just about a 30-year-old who is unhappy in many aspects of her life, just wants a man who does her right rather than wrong, and she goes for her boss and then she goes for a man called Mark Darcy. These 2 men kind of compete over her, even though the boss is not a very nice man. You just kind of see how Bridget deals with many things of her life. I don't know how to explain it, it's just a very warming film that it's just fun and easy to watch. And then the last 2 I'm going to talk about are kind of similar. I read the books first before watching the film, even though they're not by the same author. I feel like they're very similar in a way. So the first one is Love, Rosie. Again, if you have not seen this film, please go and see it. It's like one of the, it's more of like an up-to-date love story, and The actors are amazing. Lily Collins, Sam Claflin. It's basically a story of two best friends who grow up together and then they kind of separate and go their separate ways because they are growing up. I think throughout the film you kind of get the impression they've both had a soft spot for each other. You kind of just see how they separate and then come back closer together. I do recommend reading the book first because doing it that way gives you the opportunity to make up these characters for yourself, and then obviously when the film does come out you can kind of see if you were close and the people have made the characters how you want them to be. And it is just nice seeing everything come to life. And then obviously another book I read was Me Before You. I feel like this book and this film is talked about all the time, but honestly the story is so heartbreaking and also really lovely because it's about a girl called Louisa who becomes jobless and she's looking for a new job, and she becomes this man called Will's carer. Will is disabled, I think he's paralysed from the waist down, and he is really unhappy. He used to have a life full of adventure and used to be into sport and travelling and stuff like that, and now all he does is stay in his house. And Louisa kind of brings that side out of him again. She shows him that even though he can't do the things he used to do, it doesn't mean he has to stop doing these things altogether. So she shows him that he has still got opportunities and can still do things. Again, it's a sad film, but it is a really lovely story, and even though it is heartbreaking, it's quite eye-opening. So that is all the films that are my favourite. It was quite hard to kind of narrow them down, like I said, but I hope I helped someone find a new film that sounds interesting. I know I don't give off the best details of the film. Maybe I should have read a bit about them or something. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you soon. Bye!